What's up, guys? It's Strategist, and the footage for today's video consists in the beginning what I've been doing with a lot of my fodder and some of my newer units, and later on arena highlights, and then finally finishing off with arena gameplay and arena assault gameplay, of which I play through very quickly because I forgot to play arena and I needed to finish it quickly before the season ended. What I did with Ike here was simply give him quick riposte 3 and kind of end with that, because he doesn't really need a heck of a lot else. He comes pretty much as a well-built package, and as I said in a previous video, I gave Grima close defense 3 from, my Joshua I knew I was never going to use again. Because, oddly enough, the notes and stuff that I wrote down about topics I wanted to cover and whatnot, a lot of those actually did coincide with Deltran's interview video. So you might hear me reiterate a couple of things, but not so badly to edge on repetition. Lately, I've kind of discovered that I really enjoy talking about primarily the state of the game. Not necessarily what's happening when, with the news and stuff. Like, for example, we've all heard today that Thracia Banner will be coming out pretty soon here. But more like I want to kind of give my perspective on everything and how everything looks as a whole. And the meat that I really want to dig into, this salty, savory meat, is the meta. And we've talked about the meta before, and now we are definitely seeing the natural pattern of Fire Emblem Heroes meta evolve in a very distinct pattern, which is, long story short, powerful units essentially being placed on top of one another. If you've played the game since launch, you should have a good idea what each meta consisted of. And to cover that briefly, that is basically Reinhardt cavalry meta with Brave Lyn soon to follow, and now we've got Myr and Grima, followed by a little bit of the dragon meta. So instead of radically changing like we always imagine it would when a new powerful hero comes out, more rather it just kind of piles on top of each other and kind of intermingle without any, previous meta fully going away. It rather dogpiled upon each other and added to the current meta rather than replacing it or changing it. So that's kind of the general sense that I get from Arena lately, and there's definitely two different aspects to the meta that I found as well. There is a smart meta, and there is a dumb meta. And when I say smart and dumb, I don't necessarily mean the player base at all, really. I mean more of the teams that get presented to you. Even though it's probably gonna sound like I am talking about people, but just bear with me, okay? Now, the smart meta consists of teams that adapt and change with, each subsequent banner of new powerful heroes that come out. Kind of follow the power creep a bit. So I would say this team right here actually consists of a smart meta. He's taking the new units and putting them on a team together that functions well in itself. We've got Grima, Harden, and Black Knight, followed by a healer, all of which do support each other really well. If I had that team in my hands, I would probably be able to use it very efficiently with some practice. I would not hate using a team composition like that whatsoever. It's basically taking, new units and synergizing them with characters that actually complement them very well, which is commendable. Some people just, see a brand new character, think it's, the best new thing, and then throw them on whatever team and just call it good. Which transitions very well into the dumb meta, which actually consists of an exact team that I've been seeing very often, and I don't think I caught it on video. Here's another very good team right here, just off topic. Back on topic, the dumb meta consists of the meta units I've already listed off thus far. A team that is just consists of Reinhardt, Bravelyn, Myrrh, and Grima. Basically, what these teams do is they just simply put, the spotlight characters on a single team and call it good. Now, while they can actually synergize with each other decently well, and you can run such a team to great effect, but when you leave them as a defense team, the problem that arises is the fact that knowledgeable players that keep up with the game, the meta, the information, how characters are, their builds, their roles on a team, people that have a lot of information, and may I remind you, information is power. These people will usually have one or two characters on their team, like I do with Soren, to specifically counter common threats in the game, essentially rendering your team at their mercy with, the matter of one or two characters. Like I said, I wish I got footage of this particular situation that I'm talking about, because when I run into this particular team, they just cannot stand up to literally half my team, which is Ike and Soren. Soren takes care of Reinhardt and Bravelyn, and Ike, with, weapon advantage, takes care of Myrrh and Grima easily. So I guess as a mini PSA, I can tell you guys that if you run multiple known meta heroes on your defense team, you can essentially expect to be countered plenty of times before potentially getting that defense win that you're looking for. But the point that I do have to concede as far as the meta is concerned, that it has changed noticeably since the game has begun. I've definitely seen a lot of diversity in the arena teams we face today. Significantly more armor emblem, dragon emblem, significantly less cavalry emblem like we saw when the game was first launched, primarily due to the fact that they got to enjoy +6 buffs while other emblems did not enjoy such a luxury. And this team right here, I'm actually pretty proud of, to show off, especially because it's my debuff team, making great use out of Gunthra's Blizzard Tome. If you haven't tried to get extra value from her tome, I highly suggest that you try, because it's a very, very fun team composition. And I love playing it all the time. There's a certain satisfaction of being able to synergize your team with itself so well that not only can you buff your own teammates, but debuff the enemy to make nearly every one of your units on your team nigh invincible. Bear in mind, buffs and debuffs do not stack. The higher value takes precedence, so keep that in mind if you do make such a team. And the reason for me having a couple of debuffs that do overlap each other, the reason for that is to get more of the debuffs out there rather than stacking them on one person, if that makes sense. Jafar and Gunthra are a match made in heaven. I would dare say that it is a Fire Emblem Heroes canon pairing, in my opinion. And Fallen Celica with her chill speed is, you know, just a solid addition to the team. And then the final brick in this wall is Effie with her high HP panic ploy, and that was a subtle joke to one of her lines. Which, by the way, panic and debuffs do stack with each other, but from what I've seen, it doesn't seem like that the panicked buff counts towards Blizzard's bonus damage. And if I'm wrong, definitely correct me down in the comments below, because I would absolutely love it if it was the case, but it doesn't appear to be so from my own experience. But nothing wrong with having panic on the team. And I think that's all I have to say on the topic of the meta for now. Otherwise, the state of the game itself, there are actually a lot of unique perspectives out there now, and I feel like it would be extremely interesting to see the perspectives of players that are just now getting into the game. The game's been out for about a year, a little bit over a year, and my barracks definitely looks like what a whale's barracks might look like. A lot of 5 stars, enough that I can actually lose count. Like, when people ask me how many 5 stars I've gotten as a free-to-play player, it's nearly impossible to answer that question anymore. Because of the fact that I've ended up foddering units, merging them. I've lost track of which units exactly I have unlocked potential in since then, and it's a kind of a staggering number. I mean, I guess if I really focused and put pen to paper, I could figure out exactly what I did where, and figure out what 5 stars I've summoned in total, but I'm probably not going to do that. But it's actually kind of crazy now, essentially being on the outside looking in, looking at other free-to-play players that just started the game, and they're, you know, summoning on the Falchion banner, for example, and they're looking to get characters like Lucina and Crom and such, and then they get a pity breaker Aira, and they, you know, get upset about it and call her a pity breaker, which is mind-blowing to the rest of us, right? Calling Aira a pity breaker in comparison to that, right? It seems crazy to us, but to them it's not. They don't have, you know, all of the extra information that we do. We didn't, or they didn't go through the whole, you know, quote-unquote Aira scandal, so it seems really interesting for me. So if you're a new player to Fire Emblem Heroes, comment down below, like, maybe one of your recent summons and what you first got out of it after joining the game, and how your experience has been so far.